Hey, welcome on in, everybody, here to the Postgame Pod at Auburn Undercover. Nathan King, joined by Patrick Bingham. For the second straight game, we are in the press room instead of out on the court. This time it's not too loud. We just decided to do it in here, and it's like 12:45 in the morning, so there's nobody here anymore. Insane finish for Auburn in its SEC home opener. That's 2 SEC games and 2 times that Patrick has run out onto the court at the end of regulation thinking that Auburn had hit a game-winning 3. Last time, I understand, was your vantage point.
It was the vantage point, and it was the fact. Well, I was like standing behind the bench, and so I literally thought he hit a 3 and they had won. And I ran onto the court and was like, me to, well, you can't see it, but there's like a mic right there, to Kevin Overton. And then I look over my shoulder, I'm like, no one else got up. I'm the only photo person out here with the entire team. And then I realized they'd only tied it, and then obviously the rest of everything happened.
And now this time, you are a little bit more absolved of blame because everybody thought this game was over. Keyshawn Murphy, about a 36-footer, great pass from Elijah Freeman, 0.6 on the clock. If I'm not mistaken, was 0.6 not what was on the clock when Kevin Overton took that shot? I think it was. I think it was 0.6.
Oh, it might have been, yeah.
So insane gather for both of these guys. Keyshawn Murphy buries a 36-footer. Looks like Auburn has won the game. You get a crazy range of emotions in just over 4 minutes because they show it again, and it was almost like confirmation, or at least it looked like you had a double celebration. Like, they went back to their bench, and they showed it on the video board again, and Auburn celebrated again because it looked like on the video board that he got it off in time. Ends up being waved off by the officials. I mean, just unreal finish. So then Texas A&M celebrates. Unbelievable game, Patrick, and obviously, you know, there's a lot to get into from what happened in this game, but obviously the end takes the foremost of our focus here. And Stephen Pearl said, look, you know, he was about 25 minutes late to his press conference because they're talking to the SEC league office. Now, they're not going to overturn the call, but he's looking for, quote, clarity. John Cohen, we saw him out there on the court with Pearl and a bunch of other Auburn officials. That's obviously the story after this one, Patrick, is Auburn feeling like they got jobbed. Once again, that's obviously what all Auburn fans are feeling.
It's almost like you could do 2 post-game pods of like the ending and then, the rest of the game that happened. The other, 39 minutes and 59 seconds. But, yeah, I mean, they had staffers out there testing, like, hours after, still testing to make sure, like, the buzzer was in line with the time, which was in sync with everything else.
Crazy.
I mean, ultimately, it's, I guess, in my opinion, a judgment call. You see very weird, blurry angles of one thing. You see other weird, blurry angles of another. You have to make a call in a moment, and they did, to the dislike of everyone in the building.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, just being down on the floor. I mean, I was me to you to Keyshawn Murphy because I was ready to get the shot. And, it was just a bizarre range of the double celebration, him running back over to the fans, and then the whole ending. It just just kind of continues to be the story for Auburn athletics this calendar or this like sports season of insane. I mean, I hate to say the word, but like being so close, having these bizarre calls, and it ending in that.
This felt like if the Jackson Arnold fumble was the last play of the game or something like that, you know. I mean, look, Stephen Pearl said after the game, I thought he handled this about as well as he could have afterwards. He said he told the team after the game, like, look, we can do one of 2 things. We can pout about it, or we can get back in here and grind tomorrow. There are some more words that he used that I won't that are not safe for children that Steve, which is a little bit understandable after a game like this. But yeah, you're right, Patrick. I mean, I think the biggest gripe that Auburn fans have with this, because are there a bunch of angles where you're like, yeah, it was on his fingertips? Sure. But at the same time, it's, again, like a lot like the Jackson Arnold one. I'm completely sympathetic to people who say, well, you called it on the and again, it's
was
like
it indisputable is the word, yeah.
And like, I have yet to see anything that says it's indisputable because, like you said, when you zoom there, it's like it's so blurry. And Keyshawn Murphy's a big dude. Like, how long are his fingertips? Like, it's really, man, there is just nothing there that makes you think anything concrete. On top of all of that, you had the situation that led to that. So there was 2.6 seconds on the clock, and Texas A&M had a good plan at the end. They were going to intentionally miss their second free throw. Pop Isaacs was at the foul line. Their plan was just miss it because Auburn had no timeouts. You have to get the rebound, and throw a full court. Like, impossible. 99.999% chance of not going in. Yeah. Well, instead, he accidentally didn't touch rim, which gives Auburn the inbound pass that they actually had. But both coaches showed some concern and confusion over why that time was taken off. Stephen
That
Pearl
was kind of my personal question, was how did we lose the time for a play that shouldn't have happened?
That you were saying.
I didn't understand that.
Yeah, I guess my only thing would be, okay, I think, and again, they could have said this on the broadcast.
Yeah,
I didn't see anybody say that it was actually they ruled that it did touch the rim. And then I'm saying that would be the most logical thing to me, is saying
for the clock
it did touch the rim. It was an inadvertent whistle. We have to take that time off because you shouldn't have had that time in the first place because the game should be over, sort of thing. Bucky McMillan's perspective was, it was the most blatant. I have never heard a coach say basically that the refs gave a makeup call. Like, he was sitting here, and I think everyone in the press room kind of looked around like, did he just say that? Because I encourage you to, I'm assuming you put the video on.
Yeah, there's the whole press conference on YouTube, but the short and on all of our social media.
Yeah, and Bucky McMillan said, I think the officials knew the situation and that if it was close, talking about Murphy's shot, if it was close, it needed to go our way because of what had just happened. It's just unreal what unfolded.
That doesn't help our message board conspiracy theorists.
No, I don't blame people. So just an insane finish. Stephen Pearl's next press conference is at 1:45 Central on Thursday. That's usually not important to anybody except for us, except that he said, look, we're going to talk with the SEC, I'm going to talk with John Cohen, and he was like, I'm going to relay you guys the information. Yeah, Patrick, it's going to be another one of these situations that Auburn has had to deal with. Far too many of these, but at the end of the day, like Steven said, you shouldn't have been in that situation in the first place.
And that's kind of, now I guess, to transition into the other 39 minutes and 59 seconds of the game. That's kind of the thing, is like, you had a 16-point lead in the second half at home and ended up like going down by 11. And so it's like a total swing. Basically from my vantage point, Byron Brown comes out, everyone cheers, they introduce him, whatever. I get that video. I run in here to make the video. I come back out, and like Auburn's 10-point lead is gone. I'm like,
it's all heck is breaking loose.
What? Like, they were there was a point where they almost got up 20, and then they, in one crazy transition, was it 3 different baskets A&M got on?
Yeah, so Texas A&M scored 15 points off of turnovers in the second half.
Yeah.
Auburn had 5 turnovers. For those doing the math at home, 3 points per turnover, and that's what it was. It was 4 3-pointers that was just nuts. Like real 3-on-1 chaos. You just pop it to a guy in the corner, and then an and one. And 3 of those happened in sequence, all on the opposite end. And Steve Pearl said it after the game. He was like, how long does a turnover take? It takes only 1 second to turn the ball over. He was like, we let 3 seconds, those 3 turnovers, change the entire game, change the entire rest of the 40 minutes of basketball. Texas A&M runs that pressure. That's part of Bucky Ball, is them running that full court pressure. Auburn was able to break it pretty well in the first half because they were just pushing the ball down the floor, but that really threw them out of sorts. And so another just heartbreaking finish for this team. The turnovers obviously end up being what evaporates that 16-point lead. In the second half, Texas A&M made, I believe, 8 3-pointers in the second half, and so that obviously was the reason why they were able to make Auburn's lead disappear.
Yeah, and I think in this game it was kind of like we saw like the best and the worst of Auburn in so many different like waves and points. Like going into the half, it was some of the best we've seen, just at least in a while, of just like I think of the biggest well, there were a lot of big reactions from Steven tonight for obvious reasons, but like one of the biggest ones in the first half was they had a possession and they just kept passing it around and ended up getting a foul call, and he was obviously really thrilled. But it was like you were just seeing it culminate. They build the big lead, and then there's just this massive, like, all the turnovers happen. The defense starts to fall. A&M scores 50 points in the second half. But then again, like we've seen, they fought all the way back. They did all the last-second stuff and had a chance to win. And so it's just this, like, crazy wave. But at the end of the day, you're still 0-2 in the SEC.
I'm pulling up this. Jason was texting me some stuff to put in the story about. It was a 31-6 run for Texas A&M that took just over 6 minutes. Gave up 33 points in a 7-minute stretch, allowing 5 points per minute during that stretch. Overall, I believe, 31-6 run was the extended run. It took only 5:13 for Auburn's 16-point lead you lost a 16-point lead in just over 5 minutes. And a lot of it, again, was just that flurry of turnovers. And so just an unreal, just a crazy finish. Auburn would like to get back to some normalcy, of course, and avoid these types of heartbreaking games. But it's obviously Stephen Pearl's job and this team's job now to keep it together, which they've done a good job of. He said it after the game. It's like they've from Bruce retiring on, it's just been so much adversity for this team. This loss hurts because Texas A&M is kind of where you are as well, which is like a on the fringe tournament team. You want to be able to beat those teams at home, and so Auburn starts 0-2 in SEC play, first time since the COVID year.
Yeah.
And now Arkansas comes to town on Saturday. Really, really talented team that John Calipari has. They play Ole Miss on the road on Wednesday. They already defeated Tennessee over the weekend, and so that's a big one. You got to try to get that game, Patrick. That would be big for Auburn's momentum.
It's like you can't start 0-3, but it's also like Arkansas is going to be probably the best team of the three that you're about to play.
Sure, yeah.
And so when we talked after the Queens game of like if you gamed it out, these first two, it felt like a pretty reasonable start. You just had some really bizarre games, but how can you continue to improve? And I guess the thing that you could feel better about after this is, for as much with football, we saw one bad mistake happens and the whole thing falls apart, and that transcended over weeks. Steven said, as you alluded to that quote earlier, of like, okay, that sucks, but we have to move on. Tomorrow is Arkansas. Like, it just – and so I think that's the thing is that you just have to – you got to keep going because we're only in game 2 of the 18-game SEC schedule.
Yeah, crazy start for the Tigers, but ultimately they are 0-2. I can't even remember, Patrick. I can't even remember what the final score was. 90-88. Auburn falls to Texas A&M tonight inside of Neville Arena. They just can't kick that Texas A&M curse either, man. With a new coach, not only a new coach that walks onto the floor. Like, is it a requirement of? And I'm not a Buzz Williams defender by any means, but I think this was worse than Buzz ever was. People always used to get onto him.
Yeah, well, nothing will beat for me Jumbo being the 12th man on that Eugene Asante.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about the connection.
That
there.
was still very.
They just love to get in on the action. Tough one tonight. Arkansas, 5 p.m. Central Time on Saturday back here at Neville Arena. For Patrick Bingham, I am Nathan King. Be sure to head over to auburnundercover.com. There is a lot of stuff going on, lots of transfer stuff. We're covering basketball. We need to go get some sleep. And so, again, it's a tough one for Auburn fans. Try to sleep it off, guys. And like Stephen Pearl said, try to move on to Saturday. And should be a good game back here in Neville Arena. So we'll catch you guys over at auburnundercover.com.